Have you ever looked up at the sky on a clear day and noticed a jet flying overhead with a long white line stretching behind it? It almost looks like the airplane is dragging a giant piece of chalk across the sky. Sometimes the trail disappears after a few seconds. Other times, it hangs around so long that it starts looking suspiciously like a cloud that's forgotten where it came from. But have you ever wondered what those white trails actually are? Are they smoke from the engines? Leftover fuel? Some kind of pollution? Or are pilots secretly competing in the world's largest game of sky doodling? As amusing as that last idea would be, the truth is far more fascinating. Those white streaks, known as contrails, are actually tiny ice crystals forming behind an aircraft. They aren't there because something is wrong with the airplane. In fact, they're usually a sign that everything is working exactly as it should. Welcome to Past in Plain Sight. Today, we're uncovering the surprising science behind why airplanes leave white trails in the sky. We first have to take a trip several miles above the Earth to understand contrails. Commercial airplanes don't fly low over our heads unless they're taking off or landing. Most spend their journey cruising between 30,000 and 40,000 feet in the air. Up there, the world is very different. The air is incredibly thin, the oxygen is scarce, and the temperature can plunge below -50 degrees Celsius, or about -58 degrees Fahrenheit. In other words, if you forgot your jacket, you'd have much bigger problems than being cold. Now, let's talk about jet engines. People often think of them as giant machines that simply burn fuel to make the airplane go faster. That's true, but they also produce something else. They produce water. Just like a car engine creates exhaust, jet engines produce carbon dioxide and water vapor when aviation fuel burns. Normally, you never notice that water. But high above the Earth, something interesting happens. The hot, moist exhaust suddenly mixes with the freezing air outside. Imagine stepping out of a hot shower into the middle of Antarctica. Your breath would instantly become visible. The same thing happens to the water vapor leaving the engines. Except instead of becoming tiny droplets, it freezes almost immediately into microscopic ice crystals. Millions, then billions of tiny crystals gather together. And suddenly, a brilliant white trail appears behind the aircraft. It's essentially a very thin, man-made cloud. That's why they're called condensation trails, or contrails for short. But here's where things get interesting. Have you ever noticed that some airplanes leave long trails while others leave none at all? Surely they're using the same kind of engines. So what's going on? The answer isn't really the airplane. It's the weather. Even though the sky looks empty, the atmosphere changes constantly. Temperature, humidity, and air pressure. They're all different depending on altitude and location. If the air is extremely cold and contains enough moisture, the ice crystals survive for a long time. The contrail can stretch for miles and slowly spread out until it becomes almost impossible to distinguish from natural clouds. If the air is dry, however, those tiny ice crystals quickly evaporate, or technically, they sublimate, turning directly back into water vapor without becoming liquid first. Science loves making simple things sound complicated. Either way, the trail disappears within seconds. So two airplanes flying only a few thousand feet apart can leave completely different trails simply because they're flying through different layers of the atmosphere. When you're lying on the grass or looking out your office window and see a plane painting a white line across the sky, know you're not watching smoke or mysterious chemicals. You're watching one of the coldest weather events on Earth happen in real time. A jet engine produces warm, moist air. The freezing atmosphere instantly transforms it into billions of glittering ice crystals. Together, they create one of the most recognizable sights in modern aviation. And perhaps spare a thought for those poor contrails themselves. They spend their entire existence floating gracefully across the sky, only to disappear a few minutes later without anyone thanking them for their service. Talk about a short career. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to Past in Plain Sight, and join us next time as we reveal another fascinating piece of history. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.